It's Tuesday the 14th of April across Greater Manchester. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News and these are today's headlines. Polluted by chemicals, a section of the River Irks left with foam several feet high. Also coming up, the true cost of chip pan fires. We find out how much Greater Manchester spends dealing with them.
Under no circumstances would we recommend anybody tackle a fire involving a chip pan.
And why melting down the family heirlooms could be a cheap way of making your own wedding ring.
When people sort of see the finished piece at the end, it's kind of like eyes light up and big smile on the face, and that's it. You know, it's just a really good experience. Yeah, lots and lots of good comments.
Good afternoon. First this lunchtime, there's been a large spill of chemicals into one of Greater Manchester's rivers. The Irk in Blakely's been left looking like a bubble bath with foam several feet high. Kevin Duffy's been to see the view from one worried resident's garden.
Yes, thanks. Well, this is a tale of the riverbank, but it's not a very nice one. We're standing on the bank of the River Irk, which runs from Rochdale to Manchester, and with me is Dot Keller, who's the chairman of the Friends of Blakely Forest Nature Reserve. Dot, what did you see this morning?
The river was just completely covered in foam from bank to bank. You just couldn't see any water at all. Yes.
It seems to have broken up a bit now.
It has, but this is 3 hours on and it's still around. It was coming down in big chunks at one point.
Really?
Yes. I mean, you can still see odd little bits of the chunks of foam on the river now.
What do you think it is?
No idea. No.
Have you made any inquiries?
I've been on to the Environmental Agency and they're going to make inquiries.
It must be quite worrying because presumably you've no idea what it is that's causing it.
Yes, it is really, because you don't know if it's doing any damage to the wildlife on the riverbank or polluting the water. We don't know.
Or perhaps a threat to your own health?
Well, even that, yes, you don't know these things, do you?
OK, well, Dot, thank you very much. We're going to make some calls to the Environment Agency during the course of the day to try and find out just what it is that's in this water. It doesn't look very nice at all. In the meantime, back to you.
Kevin, thanks. It's estimated chip pan fires are costing Greater Manchester almost £4.5 million every year. There were more than 300 such blazes last year, despite high-profile campaigns against the potentially deadly pans. I've been out to find out just how devastating such a fire can be.
I panicked because I could see the flames.
Vidya was watching TV with her husband when the fire started.
I just said to him, "Have you put something on the cooker?" And as soon as I said that, he jumped for his life. He rushed into the kitchen. He said, yes, yes, yes. I've got the oil, warming up the oil for our chili oil. By the time I came back to the kitchen, I saw he was saying, I've got to put wet towel on it. I've got to put a wet tea towel on it. The cooker top was all burnt. A lot of soot all around floating around the kitchen. And also the smoke had gone up to the bedrooms upstairs.
Last year, Greater Manchester Fire Service had to deal with 317 chip pan fires. That's more than 10% of house fires and not far off one a day. On average, each costs the community just under £25,000, adding up to a total bill of £4.4 million.
When they're left unattended or accidentally left on, and then obviously the rise in the heat within the oil and it reaches an ignition temperature, that's when it becomes extremely dangerous.
This fire's been burning for some time now, and as well as the flames behind me, you can see plenty of thick black smoke. Because we're outside, that's blowing away, but if this was your house or your flat, that black smoke would be entirely filling your room, making it extremely difficult to see. The real danger would come there was if you tried to put this fire out with water.
In that situation, take yourself out of the property immediately, close the door behind you, call us out, stay out of the property. Under no circumstances would we recommend anybody tackle a fire involving a chip pan.
The fire service would like as many people as possible to throw away their chip pans and get a safer alternative, yet they tell me too many people will risk their lives just because the chips taste better.
I think we will be making the chili oil again because I think it is a part of our diet now. and we'll just have to be more, both of us will have to be very sure that we are here and the oil's right temperature, and we go through the full preparation before we leave the room, leave the kitchen.
Manchester has been named one of the cities worst hit by job losses because of the recession. In February this year, more than 16,000 people were claiming job seekers allowance. That's an increase of more than 5,000 from the year before. It means over 5% of people are now signing on for the benefit. A push to stop the spread of so-called ghost towns is being started here in Greater Manchester. Communities Minister and Salford MP Hazel Blaze is in Stockport this lunchtime announcing the plans. She wants different uses to be found for more empty shops.
What they want to do is they've encouraged local councils across Great Britain to take ownership of some of the empty properties that are coming, that are starting to sort of we see in the town centres. For instance, places like Northampton has 1 in 6 retail properties in its town centre which are vacant. Now, what they're saying is turn them into something that can be used. So, for instance, they're saying there can be grants of up to £1,000 available if you want to turn them into, say, an art gallery for a local artist or an NHS drop-in centre. So, in effect, you're using, landlords are sort of being encouraged to say, yeah, you'll keep them in the longer term, but in the short term, hand them over. The grants will be there, the rent will be paid, the bills will be paid. That will fall on the local authorities, but it will see a bit more life potentially.
And we'll have more on that story in our early evening news from 5 o'clock tonight. A teenage boy's been critically hurt after his motorbike was involved in a crash with a car in Little Hulton. The 17-year-old is being treated for serious head and internal injuries. He was travelling west on Manchester Road when he collided with the other vehicle going in the opposite direction. His older brother, who was also on the bike, is in hospital with several broken bones. Manchester's Victoria Station could soon have a new roof and revamped waiting areas, toilets and a footbridge. Plans for a £9 million makeover of the site have been revealed. The new canopy will be in the shape of a boomerang. Funding now has to be agreed. It follows a report from a passenger watchdog which said the building wasn't welcoming and called the gents' toilets a disgrace. Ambulance staff have had to abandon their vehicle in Manchester and run to a call-out on foot after their vehicle got stuck behind the city's notorious rising bollards. They were trying to get along Corporation Street to access the Arndale Centre, but repeated efforts to get the bollards to lower wouldn't work. Medics were trying to get to a tanning salon where a woman had collapsed but ended up taking a detour around several other streets to try from the other direction. Once there, those bollards wouldn't go down either, though they were still letting buses through. Well, joining us now to talk a little bit more about this is Elaine Boyce from the City Council. Elaine, good afternoon. First of all, we've just seen those pictures there. What do you make, having looked at those, at what happened yesterday? Right.
Well, I think it's becoming a really serious issue within the city centre. The bollards are there to protect pedestrians, and obviously on this occasion it could have cost one of them their lives. I've been in touch with the highways this morning, and what they've explained to me is that apparently this ambulance responded and it didn't have what you call a transponder on it, which means that the bollards won't open. The highways at the moment are in discussion with GMAS and the fire and the police brigades to look into trying to get more transponders in the vehicles and making sure that this doesn't happen again.
We've seen several cases, I mean, this is a vehicle that couldn't get through, but we've seen several cases of these bollards hitting vehicles. There have been numerous problems with them, haven't there? Well,
having spoken to the highways, as I said this morning, the last incident, apparently the bus didn't wait for the bollard to go down. It actually went over it. So I think, at the moment, we're still looking into it, but I think most of it is actually driver error rather than the bollards.
What would you like to happen with the bollards? Because there have been people saying that, that they're not working, they should be dug up.
I still think that they are a good idea, and I think we need to perhaps a different system of working them. Perhaps buses should have some sort of a code on them where they can access them. If they're not actually physically working, that they should be able to get them down in some way.
OK, thank you very much for your thoughts this lunchtime, much appreciated. And we have had a statement in from Manchester City Council on this as well. They've told us that the bollards were working on Easter Monday. However, they say we will be talking to the ambulance service about what happened on this occasion. We need to know whether this ambulance had been issued with a transponder which operates the bollards automatically or a key to operate the bollards manually, and understand why they were unable to gain access to the city centre. If you'd like to see more of our pictures of what happened there as well, you can log on to our website, channelm.co.uk. Jade Goody's husband, Jack Tweed, has been jailed for 12 weeks for assaulting a taxi driver. The 21-year-old's been sentenced at Harlow Magistrates Court in Essex. He was found guilty last month of the attack, which took place in May last year. It's the second time he's been convicted of assault. Phil Spector could be jailed for up to 15 years for murdering the actress Lana Clarkson. The 68-year-old music producer is being convicted of shooting her at his mansion 6 years ago. He says he will appeal. British tourists are being warned to stay away from Thailand's capital. At least 2 people have been killed there and more than 100 injured in clashes between protesters and government forces. The demonstrators are calling for the Prime Minister there to resign. The MOD is playing down reports that Prince William damaged an aircraft during his RAF training. It's reported he grounded one of the planes after flicking a switch, causing it to overheat. Defence officials insist no damage was done during his 12 weeks training last year. Next, it cost £1.7 million and has stood since the Commonwealth Games near the Sports City complex. But the controversial Bee of the Bank sculpture is now being dismantled. Work started to demolish the 184-foot high sculpture, which has been plagued with problems almost from the day it was first installed. 9 of the metal spikes have had to be removed after one fell off. The whole thing is now being taken away to be put in storage, though its creator hopes a solution can be found to have it reinstalled at a later date.
If you don't pull it down, it'll fall down.
It's a waste of space and a waste of money.
It's never been put up in the first place.
I agree.
All a waste of money.
We all thought it was a bit of a mistake, but glad it's coming down. Just keep blocking the road off, so about time.
You could spend the money on people that really need it, not rubbish like that.
Time now to take a look at the lunchtime sports headlines with those. Here's Mike Bradley.
Thank you, James. And Salford City Reds boss Sean McRae, he's spoken at his elation at his side's 30-20 Super League victory over Leeds yesterday. John Wilshere, Mark Henry, Richie Myler, Robbie Paul and Jordan Turner all crossed for Salford, with Wilshere adding the remaining points with his boot. It was only the 3rd time the Reds have come away from Headingley with a win in over half a century, and as a result, Salford climbed the table to 11th, level on points, but 2 places below Wigan. They fell to their 7th defeat in 10 games, this time 40-24 against the Catalan Dragons. And some early notice we'll be hearing from Salford's Director of Football, Steve Sims, in our bulletin from 5 o'clock. In football, Hull City boss Phil Brown has spoken of his hopes of signing United's on-loan striker Minuccio on a permanent basis, but we believe this will set City back something in the region of £750,000. While in League One, Oldham drew 1-1 against Crewe at Boundary Park. That means after 5 games in charge, manager Joe Royle is still waiting for his first win in his 2nd spell at the club. But it was worse news for Stockport County, who, although ended their 7-hour goal drought thanks to Greg Tansey, fell to a 2-1 home defeat against Walsall, and that's a result which sees the Hatters drop to 13th. In League Two, Bury could only manage a 2-2 draw at Darlington and fall out of the automatic promotion places as a result. Macclesfield Town, they suffered their 12th home league defeat of the season, 1-0 at the hands of Morecambe, while promotion-chasing Rochdale earned a point in a 1-1 draw at Shrewsbury. That leaves them in 5th place, 2 points behind 3rd-placed Wickham. Now a little further down the football pyramid in the Blue Square North, Hyde United entertained Dave Pace's Droylsden, and here's a quick look at how the game panned out.
Good cross. Here's Gray. It's in. Long it goes. Route 1 stuff looking for Gray if he can get there, which he does. And Droylsden have that extra little bit of daylight now. Pringle just wants to time his run. Here he is. Dougie Pringle, men in the middle, it's in the net! It's an own goal from Newton.
I said that it's the 4th game in 6 days. I mean, it's just phenomenal, really. I mean, we've had to use every single person available to us. It was always going to be difficult because he's obviously we knew he was up for a game because the position they're in, you know, fighting against relegation. So it's always difficult. It's going to be a battle. Pitch wasn't the best I've seen it, to be honest. So he was going to battle, but we tried to play football where we could. I thought we controlled most of the game. They had a little spell, 10-minute spell, 15-minute spell, which you expect. Sat them off a little bit too much, used the subs where I possibly could, and I thought overall we dominated the game really, from start to finish.
Fitzpatrick, is he taken late? Patterson maybe this time, yes!
Now, Malloy could miss the start of Lancashire's season after injuring a calf during the 286-run win over Durham, and he's going to have a scan later today to assess the extent of the damage, while Glenn Chappell, he'll undergo a scan on his hamstring tear tomorrow. And finally, for now, the Bellevue Aces are unchanged for tonight's Elite League match at Wolverhampton, although Henning Bajer and Charlie Yader will switch positions and ride at numbers 3 and 4. That's it from me for now, but there'll be more sport for you in our early evening news bulletin from 5 o'clock.
Mike, thanks very much for the update. There's lots more still ahead on Tuesday's Lunchtime News. Find out why cash-strapped couples are melting down their relatives' old jewellery. And we've got more on our reporter's week-long boot camp in preparation for the Manchester 10K.
At the moment, my suspicions are that this will end up crashing me and I will pass out from either malnutrition or overexertion.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. If you log on to our website, channelm.co.uk, right now you can see more of our reports there, including tributes to Manchester music legend Johnny Roadhouse and the dog being hailed a hero for rescuing a man from a burning house. All that and much more at channelm.co.uk. A jeweller from Littleborough has started a course teaching couples how to make their own wedding rings from old family heirlooms. She's come up with the idea to help them beat the recession. I've been along to find out how it works.
If you've got kind of like Granny's old, wedding ring lying in a drawer somewhere that, it's been handed down, but you don't wear it because it's not your sort of thing, or any odd bits, then they can be melted down and put together, and it saves you the cost of actually paying for that. It can be as intricate as they want it to be, or it can be quite plain. If it's just a plain wedding ring that's kind of, say, a D shape or slightly inlaid or something like that, they can do that in a day.
The rings can eat up a large part of your wedding budget, which is where the idea of taking something old and transforming it into something new came from.
It doesn't matter if you've got sort of like broken chains or odd earrings and things like that, they can be melted down. We'll put the metal into a charcoal block that's got a hole kind of carved out, melt the metal down so it just becomes like an ingot shape, and then start to roll it through the rolling mill to make sheet wire or kind of like square section wire that can be made into rings. And it has to be annealed and things like that. That's heating it up to red and quenching to sort of relax the metal. It is a very precious thing to do. People have a lot of attachment to jewellery. A lot of sentimentality goes with it. But at least they know that when they come here and they're melting it down and they're actually doing the whole thing, they know that their metal's in the final piece. When people sort of see the finished piece at the end, it's kind of like eyes light up and big smile on the face, and that's it. It's just a really good experience. Lots and lots of good comments.
2 women have been raped in Denton. Police are trying to work out if the attacks are linked. The first victim, who was 46, was attacked while walking home early on Saturday morning. She was dragged into a car park. The second attack happened on Saturday evening near a pathway. That attacker was brandishing a knife. A museum in Ashton-under-Lyne's decided to almost literally push the boat out for its Industrial Heritage Gallery. Visitors to the Portland Basin Museum can now take a virtual tour of nearby waterways on a canal boat.
We've just refurbished Portland Basin's Industrial Gallery, and it's been £100,000 worth of refurbishments. We've kept some of the old favourites that our visitors really enjoy, but taking the opportunity to revamp some bits, including a new canal boat, which you can go and have a look at the inside of how people used to live inside canal boats and be able to drive it at the back as well. The major thing is that our museum here is a happy, friendly and family fun place to be, and the whole colour scheme, the way we've written the text panels, is to make sure that all the family enjoy it.
Now, thousands of runners are counting down the final month before taking part in this year's Manchester 10K. Among those competing in the race is Channel M's Georgia Calvin-Smith, and this week we're following her training on a week-long army-style boot camp. Here's the second instalment of her gruelling ordeal.
The reason for early mornings is so we can pack more exercise into the day.
Days of 5 a.m. starts, starvation and pain were taking their toll.
At the moment, my suspicions are that this will end up crashing me and I will pass out from either malnutrition or overexertion.
By day 4, only 9 of the 15 original recruits were still slogging it out the gruelling daily schedule. Faced with a punishing programme on minimal rations, food became a sore point.
Recruit Brooks, I'm going to give you a protein shake and, yeah, enjoy. It's a liquid meal replacement, fully balanced, correct amount of calories, protein, carbs.
People nowadays eat portion sizes that are way bigger than what they should be having. So the idea is that you learn about the healthy food, you learn about the portion control, you learn about not eating too fast, and then when you go back out into the real world, you know, you've started to teach your body these things.
It's very, very windy. Very windy. I'm not happy. Come rain or shine, every day the recruits faced a different gruelling challenge, which built on the previous day's torture.
For me, one of the hardest parts was when we had to carry the heavy tyres up the sand dunes. I'm not used to working out outside with the wind and the cold, and I just felt like I couldn't get my breath. But in the end, I think my legs strengthened so much.
By day 5, broken, bruised and blistered, I could definitely see an improvement to my stamina. With only 2 days to go, we were given a treat and headed out on Coniston Water. But even this was aimed at improving our endurance, strength and motivation.
You would be able to use canoeing to boost your fitness, boost your aerobic fitness, but as well as that, it will be increasing strength anyway. And if you're kneeling in the boat, you're also using your thighs and your back, and not just using your arms as most people expect. So you are training your lungs and heart as well.
That was honestly the nicest day I've had this week. It was actually more of an adventure rather than just pure exertion. And the best bit is that I somehow have earned a little bit of hot chocolate. After what seemed like an eternity, the only thing that stood between me and freedom was the final big hike. I was ready. How much worse could it get? Oh, God.
And you can see more of that at channelm.co.uk. Let's take a look at the weather now. Here's Michelle Eagleton.
Well, I have to say it's not a bad day to start off the start of your week and the end of the Easter weekend. We are seeing a fair bit of sunshine in most places, just a brief shower a bit later on this afternoon, but not really anything to worry about. I know Bolton is going to feel the brunt of that, but in general, we are seeing highs of between 16 and 17 across Greater Manchester. Is it going to stay like that? Well, let's take a look at your 5-day forecast, and I can tell you we are going to see some more sunshine over the next couple of days, mixed in with some showers. And then for the rest of the week, it is looking wet and windy. Not all doom and gloom though. By Sunday, hopefully, it'll be on the up.
This is Channel M, our top stories. The Environment Agency is investigating reports of a chemical spill in the Greater Manchester River. Part of the Irk in Blakely's been left with foam several feet high. Residents living there have complained. And figures obtained by Channel M show chip pan fires are costing the area £4.5 million. There were more than 300 last year. Those are today's headlines, and that was the Lunchtime News. More on all those stories with Nina Warhurst from 5 o'clock tonight, but from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.